Ladies and gentlemen, now today we're back for the July update to everybody's favourite, slightly controversial Google spreadsheet. Now in this video we're going to be talking about the buffs to Ultron, War Machine and Ebony more, and also the two new characters that we've had in the last month, Overseer, Maestro and Purgatory. And I'm not going to beat around the bush here, man. I was actually really disappointed with both of these characters, like having a playable Maestro and also like a new character from like the Guillotine storyline. And I thought like Morningstar when she was released was really good. Like Guillotine 2099 still holds up a lot as well. So usually a lot of those characters have been done some good justice in the past. But Purgatory, man, I just thought was a bit of a messy character, very underwhelming. Even in like her max potential scenarios. And yeah, Overseer Maestro, like we've been waiting like 6 and a bit years for a playable version of Maestro, and this guy is just like well below average, man. There are so many characters that are more enjoyable to play, have more utility, more functionality, and yeah, I'm not gonna lie, dude, I was just really disappointed by both of these characters. But anyway, we're gonna dive into all of the details after the super fun standard tier list disclaimer that this is to be treated as a very rough guide to what I personally believe are some of the best and most valuable characters in Marvel Contest of Champions on a massive comparative spectrum. The game is beyond huge. We got thousands of nodes, so many different modes of gameplay, literally over 200 characters now, so it's very complicated. There's like 6 years worth of content, and again, so many scenarios that change up the value of champions. So, you know, just take this tier list with a pinch of salt. It's a very rough guide out there, and again, there are like millions of videos on YouTube if you want to research into a character in particular, but hopefully this gives you a bit of a rough guide to how good characters are on a comparative spectrum, or at least my opinion on how good characters are on a comparative spectrum. So yeah, now that we've got that out of the way, let's start off by talking about Overseer Maestro. So Overseer Maestro has immunity to poison and nullify, so in the right scenario both of those things are really good. He also has a stacking 10% ability accuracy reduction concussion up to 7 stacks, and this can also be used with the Despair Mastery because it's a debuff to block out healing as well. He also has additional ability accuracy reduction on the special too. The problem with his ability accuracy reduction is it's just like very slow to stack up because you've got to like punish special attacks and I believe heavy attacks as well. So if you're looking to like significantly mitigate something, for example like Magic's Limbo or like some sort of debuff node, then it's not like fast enough to actually work and be effective. So any like big mechanic that you need to reliably get around, it's just not a good solution for, at least in my opinion. And from what I found in my testing so far, you know, like characters like Archangel that have like massive immediate ability accuracy reduction, or some sort of other champion that counts as that specific mechanic, generally seem like much better options. He also has additional auto block for 7 seconds after you use a special attack, so if you're a new player, get this character. It's a really nice like safety net mechanic there, and I think, you know, we all make mistakes from time to time, so it's a nice little safety net for certain intervals there. He also has a small regeneration on the special 1, which can help to offset the suicide masteries, and the way that this character ramps up is he gains cosmic charges every time the opponent gains a bar of power, or every time he's immune to a certain debuff, so for example poison, or if like a stagger or a nullify is to be applied to him. And he also has physical vulnerability debuff on the opponent via his special 3 for a little bit more damage. But overall this guy's damage output like just isn't that great when it comes to like, you know, 40-50 characters that just have some sort of way to achieve like broken level damage in this game. So yeah, it really is just a case of like, we've got so many good characters, this game's been going on for 6 years now, the Overseer Maestro just really isn't anything special, and that's really disappointing. Like the damage, the source just really isn't there. Like he's alright, he's not like bad, he's playable if you're having fun with this character, but there's nothing like, whoa, okay, this is absolutely amazing, this is friggin' Maestro, boys, let's go. So yeah, that's a little bit disappointing. And again, when it comes to utility, there's nothing like that special that really sets him aside and kind of gives him that unique identity in the science class, at least in my opinion. So yeah, we'll keep an eye on this man as the year progresses, but initially, like, I'm just not that hype on Overseer Maestro. And then we got Purgatory as well, and out of the two, Purgatory's like maybe a little bit worse, a little bit more underwhelming. Maybe could be in the D tier actually instead of C. Maybe C's at a generous placement for Purgatory, but like she's okay to play, but the damage is just like, it's underwhelming, man, and she doesn't really have a significant damage ramp up. There are certain characters that take a little while to get into the damage, like the War Machine buff that we'll talk about, and when you get there, it's really, really good. But Purgatory, she just does not have that level, and you need to play like super aggressively to get into your Bloodthirst mode and stay there. And even when you're in that mode, the damage, like, it isn't anything close to special, unfortunately. She also has a small heal on the special 1. Her utility is based on capturing souls, and to capture a soul in a fight, she needs to fill 9 bars of power. So yeah, if you're looking to get like a certain piece of utility, like 9 bars of power is a very long time before you can access that piece of utility to counter the champion that you're trying to counter in that fight, if that does make sense. So against a tech champion, you can gain armor break, mystic, you can heal on your blocks for about 60% of the damage taken. Cosmic, when filling a bar of power, you nullify a buff off the opponent, so once you get this in Cosmic matchups, can be really good there. Mutant drains their remaining power after they use a special attack. It's 66% of remaining power, and then you get 100% of that. So for example, if your opponent is very close to a special 3, they use a special 2, so it's going to consume 2 bars of power, and they've got like almost a 4 bar left. It's going to drain 66% of that, and then you gain 100% of that drained power. So that's like a nice little top up for damage there. And also skill, when a damage over time effect expires, apply a 9-second slow, which is a passive debuff there. So yeah, the awkward thing is like the captured souls only lasts for 2 fights as well. So again, in certain scenarios where your opponents do line up perfectly, you can get like the right utility. Say for example, if you've got like a skilled champion, like let's say Night Thrasher to fight, and then next up you have like Nightcrawler, you could potentially get the slow to apply to Nightcrawler to counter the evasion. But again, you need like that super specific lineup, and that's like not always going to be the case. And there are other champions, like for example Sorcerer Supreme, who can do like pretty much all of this stuff and not have to rely on a super specific like champion lineup, and then also getting the required amount of power as well in that fight, or having the awakened ability and using a special attack to capture the soul to actually gain that piece of utility. So yeah, overall Purgatory I just found to be like a little bit of a messy champion that just didn't really feel like that great to play. She felt like alright to play initially at the 3-star level, but as I played around with like the 6-star rank 2, took her into some like later game content, man, she just felt like very messy, like very all over the place. The damage output was very subpar as well. Realm of Legends like massively underperformed there. She's a champion that you can play. She's going to take a little bit more time, and some people are going to like her animation, some people are going to like her playstyle as well. But yeah, Purgatory, man, I just felt like for a new champion, especially in 2021 where we've got like 200 plus champions, again, they need to be like at the level or like surpass existing champions, or have something very unique that they do that allows them to surpass existing champions in different avenues, or just like some really cool mechanic that, you know, takes this element out of the fight, or you don't need to worry about this mechanic. And Purgatory just doesn't really do any of that, man. She's just a bit of a headache to play, with like no decent payoff as well. So yeah, I really wasn't impressed with Overseer, Maestro, or Purgatory, and yeah, those are my thoughts, man. I wish they were a little bit better. I wish I had some better stuff to say about them. But then on the slightly more positive news, we got the champion buffs, and oh my god, dude, Ultron is going straight into the solid god tier. Ultron, he always had like the base utility that was so good with like the armor up, the regeneration, the poison and bleed immunity, you know, the stun, all the debuffs of the bleeds, but all of this stuff has been like greatly enhanced, plus there's additional utility on top of this, man. You've got 80% shock and incinerate resistance as well. He can also, instead of bleed, degenerate against mutants, which is very important for a lot of mutant matchups that are either bleed immune or have like very high bleed resistance. But the biggest thing is this man now hits like a truck. He is so hard in. He just feels great to play. You like, what is that, stack up the bleeds, use the special attacks, and there is just some massive like passive fury damage after. And yeah, Ultron, he just feels like really good. He's very versatile in terms of the utility. The evade has been changed slightly to be like this evasion window, so if you time it right with like evading certain special attacks as well, like the auto evade just carries there. But overall, Ultron, just super useful champion, really nice benefits as well from the suicide masteries, being like fully immune to bleed and poison, and also again, if you're like a good or a perfect player, you can recuperate any of the lost health with like his passive regeneration thresholds. So yeah, Ultron, he just feels great, man. The stuns have been upgraded as well. Like everything's just been upgraded on Ultron, man. Just a really solid buff. I think by far, like Ultron like carried this month, at least in my opinion. But one character I do have a bit of a soft spot for as well. I was doing a bit of testing this morning on War Machine, and what I don't like about War Machine is it takes a bit too long to get into the damage, but as soon as you get into the damage, man, he hits like a truck. So yeah, I think like in progression content or really difficult stuff that you're not like super sure of yourself in, then War Machine really isn't going to be the best option. But if you're like Metal Sonic dude going into the Abyss of Legends, like charging against a massive Havoc, and you've got it on lockdown, then yeah, War Machine's really good for something like that. And I've seen some good War Machine stuff there, but I think overall I might move him up at some point to the God tier. He's got a really nice what is it, like pre-fight cleanse, and also some additional buffs that you can apply to tech champions for 10% more attack as well. So yeah, I like War Machine, but I feel like for like the average fight in the average scenario, he takes like a little bit too long to get into before you like see the big damage and kind of benefits in comparison to other characters. So I think High Demigod is where I feel like this champion lies at the moment. So yeah, I'm very keen to keep a close eye on War Machine and kind of hear your thoughts and opinions on where you believe this character belongs. But for me, it's like the 8 bars of power. You got a special 2, you got a special 2 again, then special 3, and also once every 20 seconds you got to find an interval to weave in a heavy attack, which isn't like the most upkeep in terms of rotation, but in some matches it can just like completely kill his viability there. So yeah, overall I do like the War Machine buff, but I feel like he just takes a little bit too long to get into, and that's my main concern. Whereas Ultron, you literally like get into the fight, man, do a couple of the objectives on Ultron, get the bleeds up, and you fire off like a special attack, man, and you're just hitting so quickly. And on top of that, Ultron has like a lot more utility in comparison to War Machine as well. So yeah, I like both of the buffs, man. I think they did a really good job. Now, one buff I found like slightly underwhelming testing out, and I was hoping to see a little bit more from, was the Ebony buff. The damage numbers, like without Suicide Masteries, still don't really feel amazing, and even with Suicide Masteries, he's not really built for that. If you want like big damage on Ebony there are very specific intervals to like throw the special to, but I still really like his like power steal and also power buff steal mechanic. I love his falter mechanic as well, and in the right scenario versus like a Vision Arcus or Hyperion, those are really fun to play around with. And his Nullify, and the fact that he ramps up to his what is it, like Black Tongue phase much faster now as well, is really good. But yeah, I'm a bit in limbo with Ebony. I think he's like somewhere between like high demi and low demi in terms of his ranking, but also I need to revisit some of the Mystic champions as well, like Mephisto, because it's been a very long time since I've like sat down and played Mephisto, and I haven't heard like too much from Mephisto players recently. So yeah, I'm a little bit keen to revisit him, but I think for starters we'll put Ebony in the low demigod tier. But again, I think there is potential for both a promotion for Ebony and War Machine. I just need to do a little bit more testing with both of the characters and explore them in a bit more detail. But yeah, overall, let me know your thoughts on Ebony and War Machine in the comments section below. And if you have like any excitement around Overseer, Maestro, and Purgatory, please do let me know. I was like scanning YouTube for videos this morning, man, and I just couldn't find anybody that was like genuinely excited for Purgatory or Overseer Maestro. Like both of the characters, they just disappointed me. I think they came well under a lot of the community's expectations for playable versions of Maestro and, you know, the next addition to the Guillotine 2099 storyline. So yeah, I'm just expressing my honest opinion. Like, Shang-Chi, I still love Shang-Chi, man. Shang-Chi is friggin' amazing, but this month's champions, I just did not think delivered at all. But ladies and gentlemen, let me know your thoughts and perspective in the comments section below. And if you did enjoy this Google spreadsheet breakdown, please do smash that like button. That'd be greatly appreciated. Aside from that, thank you all very much for watching. Take care. And I hope you have an absolutely fantastic day.